brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from 1AAuto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of 1AAuto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to be working with our 2001 Ford Ranger 4.0 liter V6. We're going to show you how to remove and replace your upper radiator hose. These can become damaged from wearing against other items and chafing through. They can become cut, sliced, or torn, as well as the rubber breaking down from being contaminated with oil either inside of the cooling system or on the outside of the hose. If you like this video, please click subscribe. We have a ton more information on this truck as well as many other makes and models. And if you ever need parts for your vehicle, you can follow the link down in the description over to 1AAuto.com. Here are the items you'll need for this repair. Remove the radiator cap at the top of the radiator on the driver's side. Simply push down and turn counterclockwise. Remove the four 10mm bolts securing this plastic cover underneath the radiator. We're going to use a socket, ratchet, and a long extension for this. We put our vehicle on the lift to make it easier to show you, but you should be able to do this job with the vehicle on the ground. You may need a flat blade screwdriver to remove the plastic push pins securing it in, but usually you can just grab both sides and pull down. Set up a drain bucket underneath your drain plug, which is located on the passenger side of the radiator at the bottom. We'll open up the petcock with a 19mm wrench. Don't open the drain plug all the way, as coolant will come out the end where the plug sits in. So we'll crack it loose until it starts draining and wait for the radiator to be completely empty. Reinstall the petcock by hand. Just wipe that little bit of drip off the bottom there. Remove our drain bucket. If you're doing this on the ground or on jack stands, you may want to leave the drain bucket under there to catch any excess coolant that comes out of the system. We're going to place our low-level drain bucket underneath the truck while we finish the repairs. We're going to remove this cover over the throttle body. Use a small Phillips head screwdriver to remove these two screws, and a 7mm socket and ratchet for the bolt in the back. Remove the cover from the intake. Using a flat blade screwdriver, we'll loosen the hose clamp on the throttle body side of the intake boot. We'll remove that from the throttle body. Disconnect the breather line. Push down and release the connector from the MAF sensor. Hang that somewhere safe so it doesn't get caught anywhere while we're working. Push these two tabs in on the back of the airbox, lift up, and remove this whole assembly from the vehicle. Our upper radiator hose, which runs from the radiator at the top on the passenger side up and around to our thermostat housing under the throttle body, can be removed with a pair of needle nose pliers. We'll remove this clamp and take the hose off of our thermostat so we can remove the cover. Squeeze the spring clamp together with the pliers, and once the tension's off, you can remove it from the end of the hose. Once the clamp is off, you can remove the hose. Take that clamp out of the way while you're there. Once you've removed one end of the upper radiator hose, we'll remove the other end the same way. So this will squeeze together the same way the other one did. And then we'll just move it over the lip on the radiator. Twist it. We'll have to sneak it under this AC line here and remove the radiator hose. I like to replace those spring style clamps with these screw-on band clamps, because these we can always make tighter as time goes on, where the spring steel ones tend to wear out over time and they can leak or they can break. Plus, they're a lot more difficult to remove and install, especially in tight places. So we're going to change ours out with the band clamps and tighten them down with a screwdriver. If you're reusing your spring style ones, then you would just install them with pliers by compressing them and sliding them over in the opposite fashion that we removed them. See, this can easily be accessed with a screwdriver. Where the spring style, we have to try to fight a pair of pliers underneath while keeping it compressed. I feel like it's a lot to have going on. And again, if this ever starts leaking, we can just reach in here with a screwdriver, nice and easy, and tighten it up. Send the other end of the hose under this AC line here. Again, I'm going to change this out for a band clamp. Pop it back onto the radiator. Then we'll tighten up that clamp with a flat blade screwdriver. Set the 3 tabs on the fender side of the airbox into the 3 holes at the back of the airbox. Push the tabs down in until they snap. Reconnect your MAF sensor connector. Reconnect the breather line. Reinstall your intake boot onto the throttle body. And tighten down the hose clamp with a flat blade screwdriver. Reinstall the engine cover. We'll tighten down the front 2 screws with a Phillips head screwdriver in the rear with a 7mm socket. Reinstall the bottom cover. Remember, it has the plastic clips to help you line it up. Then install the 4 10mm bolts with a socket, ratchet, and extension. There are 2 on each side. Anytime this coolant level has been dropped, you'll have to bleed the system the way you see here. We're going to refill it with a 50-50 mix of the coolant designated for our truck, as well as distilled water to get the proper mixture. We'll then fill the radiator through this funnel back up to the top level, run our vehicle up to temperature with the fan on the lowest setting and the highest heat we have to make sure that that air, if built up in the heater core, circulates through fully and removes any air pockets from our system before we test drive it and confirm our repair. Make sure the petcock on your radiator is closed if you opened it to drain the system, and always use a funnel and a drain bucket to prevent any spills when filling the system. After filling the radiator completely, start the vehicle with the radiator cap off and a drain bucket underneath. Set your fan for the heat to the lowest speed and the heat to the highest setting, blowing out of the vents so we can monitor the temperature coming out of the heater core. While the vehicle is running, you'll notice air bubbles coming out of that filler neck. Be sure to keep an eye on that and keep the level up top throughout this process. You can see here that our vehicle needs more coolant. This means that our vehicle has probably gotten up to temp and that thermostat is opened, allowing the air inside of the block to be pushed out by the coolant in the rest of the cooling system. With a quick check inside the vehicle, we can see that our coolant temp gauge on our dash has gotten up to the normal operating temperature. So we know our thermostat's open and allowed the coolant to circulate into the block, pushing that air out. Now we just need to wait for the level to stop dropping so we know our coolant's full, and check that we have proper operation of the heat to be sure that the heater core has had all those air bubbles pushed out as well. Now that we have heat coming out of our vents, the bubbling has stopped and our radiator has maintained its level for a little while now. We'll shut the vehicle off, remove our funnel, level stayed right up top. We'll reinstall our cap. The level in our radiator overflow tank, which is located here, hasn't changed, so there's no need to touch that, but you can top it off if necessary. So now we'll wash down any spilt coolant off of our engine and test drive our vehicle. Always be sure to monitor your cooling temperatures anytime you have to bleed the system on the initial test drive to be sure the vehicle doesn't overheat.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope this video helped you out. Next time you need parts for your car, please visit oneauto.com. Also check out our other helpful how-to as well as diagnosis videos.